It's coming. That song again. Tell her.
Yes, the source of the darkness. It's coming. This is your moment.
I'm sorry.
What are you doing? You're showing weakness. You're not a warrior. You're a disgrace. The gods will punish you for this. Pick up the sword. Pick it up. Fight the darkness. Fight it.
Let's go. Come on. I want to fight this.
Get up. Get up. Get up and fight.
Oh, se jodió la cuchilla. Y yo me caí entre el agua. ¿Viste? Stand up and fight.
Stormy seas and lost souls. She's dreamt of this before. They say dreams are visions of our memories, thoughts and fears, as seen by our inner eye. But what if each one of us is always dreaming, even when awake?
Me? Why should I read it? I'm hearing it. No, oíste que para oír todo eso que están ahí, me sale una voz aquí, me sale otra aquí. It's like a multiple voice thing. It's like for people que el juego viene quedando como like for people que tienen schizophrenia o parecen de problemas psicológicos. It's like a game like that that messes with your mind. It's a mind-blowing game, you know what I mean?
You're pathetic.
But it's good.
What are you thinking?
This is my personal game for nighttime. And it's not even all that bad. You people that hear voices and they have, you know what I mean, like that type of symptoms, they relate to something like this.
Worthless, weak, pathetic. Go on, feel sorry for yourself because there's no one left to do that for you.
The one, no.
Take it.
The one that will get into this, I bet you any money, el chiquito de Rosin.
Broken and lost. Just like your soul.
Huh?
That's why you like it.
Versus KO.
Why go on? When you give everything and face that which torments you, only to find that it is worse than you could have imagined.
And then it like weird stuff.
Why go on? Is it really so weak to ask this? Or are we just so afraid of the honest answer that we do not dare pose the question? Sometimes the answer lies in a memory.
Sometimes the answer lies in the memories.
Siri, where's my husband?
Sorry, you don't have anyone in your Find My Friends list.
Hey, this is who find your friends.
Huh?
Where's my contact? My husband. Where is my contact? My husband? I didn't say that. I asked you if you knew where my husband was.
Who are you?
What's she saying? What's she saying? Where's your husband?
You know where my husband is?
Come to me. Please.
Who the hell?
The light. Go towards the light. It's him. There he is. It can't be him. It's just a trick. It's in your mind. No, he's here. It's in your mind. It's real. It's happening. Go towards it.
How could you?
Keep going.
How could you?
Keep going. Ignore the pain.
I told you it wasn't tricky. I told you.
Where are you going?
See, there's nothing to follow. Come on. There it is.
You're imagining it.
It's digging. Go towards it. Quick, go, run. Come on,
Before he disappears. Go, go, go.
Ow.
Before she first met him, she was not in a good place. Just a teenager, but not like the others. Barely functioning, she rarely left the house.
You can do it.
Her father's in-bell made sure of that. Only occasionally did she venture out on her own, collecting firewood and herbs. Errands out in the Orkney Plains. That was her world. Like this one. Barren and lonely. You're getting stronger. You're getting stronger.
It's already disappeared.
Nothing lives here, not even you. It's in your mind. You think you can see it, but it's in your mind. There he was. The lone figure of a boy. Swordplay under the shade of a tree. She remembers the first time she saw him.
He's there, under the tree.
To her young eyes, he moved as if dancing, and the world danced with him. The gloom lifted. For the first time in years, she felt a ray of hope.
The Northmen tell of a great hero. His name is Sigmund. His father's hall was built around a great tree, and one day Odin comes and thrusts a sword into the tree, a gift to whomever can release it. Many try, but the sword only comes out at Sigmund's touch. His brother-in-law, King Siggeir, wants it, but Sigmund refuses him, so King Siggeir plots revenge. He invites Sigmund and his brothers to a feast, but when they arrive, they are met with an army, not a warm welcome. King Siggeir captures Sigmund and his brothers, steals his coveted sword, and readies them for execution. Death for Sigmund and his brothers seems certain. But the king's wife is Sigmund's sister, and she begs for mercy and implores the king to chain them up instead. He agrees. Not for mercy, though, but because he plans an even more cruel and lingering death. Chained to a tree in the forest that night, a she-wolf comes and devours one of Sigmund's brothers. She returns, ravenous, night after night, until only Sigmund is left. The next day, Sigmund's sister sends a servant with honey to smear on Sigmund's face. But to what end? Well, that night, when the she-wolf appears again, you'll never guess what happens. As the she-wolf licks the sweet honey from Sigmund's face, he bites the wolf's tongue. The she-wolf pulls away, but Sigmund holds on. The chains break, and he is free. After his escape, Sigmund lives like us, hidden in the forest. His enemy, King Siggeir, believing him dead, as his sister plots revenge. And for vengeance to succeed, Even the great Sigmund needs help. So she sends her sons to him. But their blood is weak and corrupted, and they're put to death by Sigmund. So his sister hatches a new plan, one that is cold of heart and pure of blood.
Day after day, watching from afar, she mimicked him, perfecting her own secret dance, wishing those fleeting moments of light would stretch out to last forever.
Sigmund's sister trades shapes with a sorceress, and in disguise, she lies with her own brother. She gives birth to a son named Sinfjotli. After a time, she sends him to the forest to Sigmund. He tests the boy and finds him strong and fearless, and so they go to take their vengeance on King Siggeir. But luck is not on their side. They're captured, and Siggeir has them buried alive.
It's a trick. It's an illusion. It's not real. It's real. You want to believe it's real, but it's a trick.
You're deluded. Where are you going?
Where is she going?
What is she following?
You can't even fight. It's just deception.
How does he so effortlessly court the world and bliss? If only she could do the same. See the world through eyes anew and dance with it, just like he does.
What's your name?
Senua.
I haven't seen you before.
I don't leave home much.
Oh, Zenua's daughter.
I have to go.
Wait. Who taught you to fight like that?
No one.
No one?
Well, I watched you, and...
You learnt all of that from watching me? You should become a warrior, you know.
Me?
I'm Dillian. I'm here for the warrior trials. Come and watch. And bring your sword.
You can't put it into words. That moment when you look into the eyes of the one who's supposed to reassure you, make you feel safe. It only takes an instant. Fear swallows you before you have a chance to make sense of it. And darkness becomes a part of who you are.
You killed him.
But her The world changed the day the Northmen took him from her. Senua knows that there's no going back to how things were. That there's nothing to go back to at all.
Stay still, stay quiet, hide, don't tell her.
Their gods can see into your mind. They will use this power to destroy you.
They won't stop me. I can still feel it.
Whatever's left of him, they will never let him go.
I'm not gonna let him rot here.
You're the one rotting here.
Leave me alone.
You will die here.
No.
And all your suffering will have been for nothing.
Shut up! Dillion? Is that you? I'll find you, my love. I promise.
Can you see him? You want to believe it. Is he not real? Is he there? You're alone in these mountains. Is that Dillion? Nothing lives here. You won't survive. You met him by the tree. He's asleep by the tree. He's waiting for you by the tree.
As Sigmund and Sinfjotli are being buried alive, Sigmund's sister throws an armful of straw into the grave mound. Hidden in the straw is Sigmund's sword, the gift of Odin. They cut their way out of the grave mound and set fire to Siggeir's hall. The king burns to death. Sigmund calls to his sister to come out so that she may live and be honored. She does come out, but only to tell him the truth. That she had slept with him, her brother, to beget a strong avenger. I am not fit to live, she says, and walks back into the fire. Strike vengeance from your heart, Senua, as there is all. As Sigmund and Sinfjotli are being buried alive, Sigmund's sister throws an armful of straw into the grave mound. Hidden in the straw is Sigmund's sword, the gift of Odin. They cut their way out of the grave mound and set fire to Siggeir's hall. Her brother, to beget a strong avenger. I am not fit to live, she says, and walks back into the fire. Strike vengeance from your heart, Senua, as there is always a heavy price to pay. And here is the end of Sigmund's story. He was a fierce and great warrior who fought many battles. But one day, an old man came onto the battlefield. Although shadowed by a hood, Sigmund saw that he only had one eye. The man raised his spear, and Sigmund struck at it with his sword, but the sword shattered into pieces. Sigmund then knew that this was Odin, and thus that victory could not be his. He bowed his head and accepted his end. Dying, he tells his wife that she is with child, and that her son will one day make a great weapon out of the fragments of his sword. The sword named Gram.
Imagine a sword that can slay gods. Its name is Gram. It was forged by the god of all Northmen, Odin, and gifted to Sigmund, a great warrior.
I need this sword. It's important. Can you help me?
The sword appears whole, but it is an illusion. It shattered into shards long ago. It is said a great warrior can reforge Gram by answering the trials of Odin, one for each shard. The roots of the Tree of Death will take you to new lands where you will face the trials.
Go to the shards. Go to the shard. Go to the shards. What's the
It's the metal runestones.
It's in front of you.
Find it. You need that sword.
Go to the shard.
Find the shards.
king in the north forced the dwarves to make a sword that would never fail and never rust, and that would slice through iron and stone and bring victory to its bearer. But the angry dwarves cursed it. It would be the death of a man every time it was drawn, and it would be the death of the king. Let me tell you about the sword Tyrving.
I don't recognize this man. Where are we? Where is she?
It feels wrong. Where are we now? Burial mound. So strange that we go to such lengths to bury death. Something so very ordinary, inevitable. It's as if we conspire to hide death, because we have no answer for it. But when it comes, it forces itself onto our friends or loved ones. Then comes the reckoning.
Feel the dead in the air. You can feel the dead. Why did he do this? Turn back. Why would he bring her here? It's not to go in there. Go in. You have to go in. Take the torch. It's too dark. Take it. This will help you. Careful. You have to be able to see.
Who's there? Dillian, I'm here. I'm here for the trials. Like when we first met, remember? I'll find him.
What's that? Did you hear that? Nothing. Was that voices? Is that his voice or the voice of the dead? Not Dillian.
Dillian's calling to you. Can you hear him?
Where is he? He sounds like he's getting further away.
Senua, you remind me of a story that the Northmen tell about a young woman warrior. Her name is Herver, the daughter of a berserker born after he was killed. She's a wild, willful child who teaches herself to fight with weapons. When she learns where her father is buried, her only desire is to reclaim the treasure buried with him, but above all, the sword, Tyrving.
Don't touch the walls.
You don't know what they might do.
Turn back.
She has to keep going.
It's not safe here.
She has to keep going.
If you go down there, no one can save you. I can hear him.
Herver disguises herself as a man to join a band of warriors, and soon becomes their leader. When they come to the island where her father is buried, her men do not want to go ashore. They say that evil haunts the island, and that it is a worse place by day than other places are by night. Fearless, she lands alone. There are many grave mounds, and all of them have ghostly flames burning over them. She comes to the grave mound of her father after passing through these ghostly fires, as though they were mist. The flames I passed through were real enough. Damn the Northmen to hell.
Find another way. It's not working.
You have to use your mind. Where can you go?
You're failing. Find another way.
Think. Focus. Use your mind.
Where's he gone? He's disappeared. You let him slip through your fingers once again.
Think clearly. You have to find another way. There has to be another way.
You don't recognize it. Don't doubt yourself. You'll never find it.
She doesn't recognize it.
Yes, you know. You know where you are.
She doesn't.
Listen for his voice. Listen.
Dillian, where are
Listen
you?
for his voice.
Dillian, she can't hear.
Does everything look the same?
Looks the same. Something's different.
Look for clues.
What is it?
It's not him. It's not him.
We told you. We told you it What's happening? It's not him, it can't be.
What's that sound? The voice is changing.
That's not Dillian.
That doesn't sound...
Within the burial mound, Herver calls on her father to wake from death and bring her his sword. She says that it is not seemly for the dead in their grave mounds to bear valuable weapons. Her father answers with words of warning. You go to your doom. Baleful runes surround you. You have gone mad. You have lost your mind. Your thoughts are confused. It is dangerous to wake the dead. Like I said, she reminds me of you.
Light the torch. Light it. Look for the torch. Light it. What can you see? It'll help you see.
Where are we?
She has no idea.
We're going round in circles.
You have fallen ill.
You think that sound is Dillian's voice? It's a trap.
You walked right into their hands.
They have you right where they want you.
How could you?
You think that voice is Dillian's?
It's not.
It's beckoning you to death. Does everything look the same?
Looks the same.
Something's different. Look for clues.
What is it?
What's different?
There's a clue.
Look. Let her think.
No, don't. In space, she just needs... No. She doesn't.
Think, don't listen to them. She needs us.
She needs us to help her.
Think clearly. What do you need to do?
She needs us.
What do you do
We
now?
need to tell her what to do.
Another strategy. She needs to think.
You'll
last forever.
What are you going to do when the torch runs out?
You'll wander around until it gets dark, and then what will you do?
You save yourself. There's nothing. Nothing you can do. Nothing.
It's not Dillian. Dillian wants me to face my fears. Father? I'm leaving. I've decided. I think it will be good for me.
It's the darkness. It's speaking through
No,
you.
Dad, it's me. I think I can beat it. In my own way.
I can see the darkness in your eyes, child.
I met a boy.
Boy.
The chief himself.
No.
He said he could help me.
It's a trick.
He said I could be normal.
Normal?
Yes.
No boy is going to save you. No one can. When they see the rot growing inside you,
No.
they will turn their back on you. The gods can only fix you through my hand. You're going nowhere.
No.
You will not defy the gods. Come, child, take my hand. Come. Senua.
I am leaving!
You cannot escape the darkness. Your curse will make everyone suffer. You will have blood on your hands!
It's done. You did it, but there's more. There's more. You're tired, but you have to keep going. There's still more. There's still more to do. It's not going to be easy. Can you do another one? It's too much. Have you got the energy? She hasn't got the energy. No. Too much to do.
I saw once a plague strike northern lands of ice. It was so terrible that not the oldest man among us could remember the like. Hundreds died. The sickness took nearly every person younger than 40 and many older. And where dying mothers gave birth, the marks of the plague were on the babes as they came out of the womb.
Where are we? I don't like it. This place feels...
What is this place?
This place feels... It's... creepy. It feels wrong. It feels strange. towards it.
He's in the house.
He's going in. He's disappearing.
Follow him.
Don't let him disappear.
The air.
Where's it gone? Keep going.
How do you find it? It's just a trial.
It's just another test.
You just have to solve it, and then you will find him.
Then you will succeed.
He's so close.
Just one little test.
It's a test. Like the old warrior trials. Dillian will help me.
The stench of rot. She can almost taste it. Do you smell it? No. Don't worry. Not everyone can. It was one spring day when she went to the river with Dillian and the others. To the water. She could taste the rot. But no one else could. She knew something was wrong. Something sinister. She begged them to leave, but they just laughed at her. But soon enough, as the bodies piled up, no one was laughing. And they knew that she was not like them.
The bridge. It's broken. Fix now. You have to find him.
Quick, get to the house. Get to the house and finish this trial.
It doesn't finish until you get to the house.
Before he disappears, Senua.
You have to get in.
You found a way.
To climb the tower.
The ladder.
Quick. What now?
You can see it. Aligned to the truth. The bridge.
speak of a death moon, a light shaped like a half moon that appears inside a house and goes around the walls. I once saw the death moon appear at a farm, and first the shepherd died, then a guest died, and then the farm hands, and then the farmer and 6 of his men drowned at sea. But that is not the end of it, because the dead return to haunt the living. If you see the death moon, then beware, because there will be death in that house.
You passed the trial, get to the house. You succeeded.
Senua! Come to me! Where are you?
I'm here! I'm right here!
Are you in there? Come out if you are.
Where is he? Find him.
You have to find him.
The runes.
Focus.
Focus on the runes. What's that sound? Dillian! They're coming for me! It's close. Move away. Senua, move away.
Feel it.
You'll die. Feel it. You're dying. The burn is...
Run!
You don't run. Your sword.
You came through the wrong door. How are you going to fight?
Where's your sword?
You're going to defend yourself.
What is that creature?
You can't defend yourself. It's Dillian. Find the creature.
Where's Dillian? Where are we? It's not safe. I feel unsafe. Where is it?
I'm not safe.
You're dying.
Focus.
Two more.
Where are they, Senua? Where's Dillian?
Where are you? Don't make a sound. Don't blast it.
You'll start to burn.
There it is. Move away.
Don't let it happen. Quick.
Where's Dillian? Where is he? This is taking too long. Can you hear him? You're lost. The light. Go towards it. Find us. Focus. Look. it is. Huh? It's close. It's close. Move away. Senua, move away. Let it see you there. Go towards it.
Run.
Focus.
Find
Focus.
it.
Focus.
Ah.
Focus. Run! Run now! Run! It's not safe here. Run! Senua, you don't have your sword. Where's your sword? Defend yourself. What is that creature? You can't. What shall I do? It's not safe. I feel unsafe. Where is it? I'm not safe. You're dying. You're lost. You're dying. This is what death feels like. Where are you? I can't find you.
Senua!
Senua! What happened?
They're blaming me for the plague. They say that I'm cursed. What if they're right?
How would they know such a thing? Are they gods? None of us are. They're just people. Good people, but they're scared. They're afraid of what they can't see. Like children scared of the dark. They make up stories to fill the void. That doesn't make them true.
What if my father was right?
You have to step out of this darkness. Let them see who you really are, like I have. You're not a monster.
Without you, this darkness has made me a monster.
What if this is pointless? What if you're wrong? What if this has nothing to do with the sword? What if we're wrong? The sword will never be yours. What if this is the end? It's just a trick. It's just a pointless test. You've been fooled before. You could be fooled again. Being tested. You don't know. It's just their game for you. You never know which way it's going to go.
want to tell you a story about a god of the Northmen called Balder. The second son of Odin. He was beautiful, good, and wise. He was fair of feature, he spoke fair words, he gave fair judgments. Light shone from him. Only good things were told of him. Yet he was the first of the gods to die.
But the bridge is broken. There's no way you can fix it. What do you do now, Senua? What does it see? Get closer. Focus. Focus. Where are we? What is this? It's the same. Different. It's another world. It's lighter. The bridge. It's not broken. It's fixed. What happened? The bridge is fixed. Let's cross it.
The Northmen tell this story about the death of Balder. It begins with dark dreams. Night after night, Balder dreams of his own death, and the gods fear for his life. So Balder's mother makes everything in the world, fire, water, iron, stone, earth, wood, beasts, birds, serpents, poison, sickness, swear an oath not to harm her son. One by one, they each make their vow. Neither weapons nor wood will injure him, Balder's mother boasts. Only Loki, father of Hela, the mistress of death, is not amused.
The gate is open. Go through the gate. Go through it. It's dangerous. Follow it. What's behind the gate? Where will it take you? It's not safe. Dillion. There he is. There he is. What are you waiting for? Quick, find a way. Find him. Go through before he disappears. Dillion, don't lose him. He's slipped away too many times. You always let him disappear. Dillion, there he is. Quick. Where is he? Where's he gone? We're in the wrong world. He's not here. She's in the wrong world. He's not in this world. He's in the other one. He's in the other one. He's in the dark world. The dark. The dark.
The world once seemed so simple. Black and white. Darkness and light. Narrow dividing lines of our own making. Dillion taught her to see further. To peek through the cracks and see the worlds of colour stretching away from the gloom. And Senua explored new paths into the unknown.
Is it really true that all things promise to keep him safe? I did not ask the mistletoe, Baldur's mother confesses. I thought it was too young. Oh dear.
You can't go up there.
You can't go up
Not
there.
in this world.
No. Not in this world.
Doesn't feel warm.
You can't.
Do you feel safe? Dillion loves you. Remember him whispering in your ear.
Dillion saved her.
You owe your life to Dillion.
You owe everything to him. Senua, you've got it.
Why isn't he here?
He's gone.
He didn't believe
He's
in
in
the dark world.
He's gone
He
to the dark
saved
world.
you
You're
when
in the
everyone
wrong
else turned
world.
their backs.
He's in the other world.
The dark world.
Without you. You broke out.
You killed him. He couldn't see the darkness within you.
You have no chance for love now.
Nobody will love you again.
Ever again.
You killed me. There he is. Where are you taking me? He's up there.
He's up there.
How do you get up there?
There's a way. There is a way up there.
Find the way.
She can do it. You're nearly there. Just find the way. Do you know? Was it worth it?
You're still alive and Dillion's dead. He doesn't deserve to be dead.
How does that make you feel? Can you remember what love feels like?
Look what happens to the things she loves.
She destroys the things she loves. She thought she knew best. She thought she had light within her when she has only. She is pure darkness.
Loki makes a dart out of mistletoe and goes to the gods as they throw things at Balder. The blind god, Huth, was there. Loki asks him why he wasn't taking pollen. Huth says, I cannot see where Balder stands, and even if I could see him, I have no weapon. Loki replies, here is a wand. I will tell you where he stands. And Huth throws the mistletoe at Balder. It pierces through him, and to everyone's horror, Balder is killed. And for this, Huth is slain. The Northmen tell how the gods mourned Balder. His body was to be burnt on his ship, but they could not manage to push it into the sea, and sent for a giantess to do it. She comes riding a wolf and has vipers for her reins. She pushes Balder's ship into the sea with such force that the ground shakes and the rollers burst into flames. When Balder's wife sees his body carried onto the ship, her heart bursts with grief, and she dies. She's put next to her husband, and the pyre is lit, sending the dead to hell. But even so, the gods cannot accept his death.
Poor Dillion. He didn't know. He was kind. He believed you.
Years had passed since she left her father. She trained hard alongside her friend, Dillion. She saw things no one else could. Patterns, shapes, movement.
When you had the chance.
An intuition that made her an exceptional warrior. Friendship turned to love. But the shadow of darkness never let her go, and she was caught between two worlds. That of Zinbel and her past, and Dillion, her future. Two realities tearing at her soul.
Believe in the curse. Dillion believed in you. Saved you.
Dillion cared for her like no one else has.
Dillion's the only reason she's still alive.
What if they're all about wasting your time just delay, minute by minute by minute? What does she think she's doing? You're special. She thinks she can.
They mean nothing.
Being special.
A waste of time.
It could all be a waste of her time.
What if the gods are just toying? He was the only one that really mattered. What if the gods are laughing at her?
Messing with her.
It wouldn't be this.
Be the first time.
He was the only one that didn't mind the curse.
He loved her so much.
He's the reason she keeps fighting.
Overcome with grief, the gods send Hermod to ride to Hell and ask Hela to let Balder return home. All the gods are weeping, he says. Are they? Asks Hela. We shall see if he is truly missed. If everything in the world will weep for him, he shall go back to the gods. But if even one thing refuses, Balder, overcome with grief, the gods send Hermod to ride to Hel and ask Hela to let Balder return home. All the gods are weeping, he says. Are they? Asks Hela. We shall see if he is truly missed. If everything in the world will weep for him, he shall go back to the gods. But if even one thing refuses, Balder stays with me. The gods send messengers everywhere. Weep for Balder. Weep him out of hell.
Dillion saved you from them. He cared in a way that nobody else did.
Do you remember the smell of his neck?
He was kind to her.
Does it feel warm? Do you feel safe? Dillion loves you.
He saw that she was strong. He saved you. He saved you. It's you. You owe him. His love keeps you strong.
You had that loved him. You squashed it and struggled. The curse cannot be undone.
make you weak before the battle. Everything gets broken and killed. You killed him with your love because he believed in you. Do you remember the way he stroked your hair? Do you remember the way he felt? What if this is pointless? What are you doing? Why did you think you could make this work? You keep seeing runes. You see runes everywhere. Everywhere.
The Northmen tell how the gods punished Loki for Baldur's death. They captured him and took him to a cave. They fetched his 2 sons and turned one into a wolf, and he ripped his brother apart. The gods used Loki's own son's entrails to tie him down, and turned these bonds to iron, and dangled a poisonous serpent over his face, so that its venom would drip onto him. Each time the venom drips onto Loki's face, he writhes in agony. The Northmen say that is the cause of earthquakes. A reminder, perhaps, that if even gods must accept death, then so must we.
He saw that she was strong. You have blood on your hands. You are guilty. Was it worth it? Your curse has claimed Dillion. Poor Dillion. He didn't know he was kind.
Nobody will love her now.
Can you remember what love feels like?
Look what happens to the things she loves.
She destroys the things she